So what I'm going to do here is really give you some tips and tricks on the inside, give you the inside scoop of things that you can do and things that are going to help you as parents deal with this new phenomenon of sending a student off to university. How many of you already have a student at college or university now? So you've been through this before. But everybody's different, and there's and there's some things that I can provide you with, some information and inside tips that I can provide you with that can help get the conversation started. So right now, you'll start noticing that students are starting to miss their routine as they start moving from dependence through interdependence to independence as they move through this transition of university. So they'll be missing you, the family, they'll be missing their old friends, their high school friends, for many of them missing their city or town as they move to Toronto. So we're here to sort of help with that transition. The first thing is that they tend to reach out, and they're going to reach out to you and others, but we also want them to start reaching out to us and to make friends and connections here on campus. The first thing, and research shows that they're most anxious about fitting in. They want to fit in. They want to make friends with people in their area of study. They may not know what they want to be today, but they certainly have already chosen a field of study, whether it's life sciences, commerce, humanities, engineering, whatever. It's kind of that broad general scope. And that's why we have our upper year students here, because they have various interests in various programs of study, which is why we're trying to encourage them to make that connection with the upper years. They're going to make connections within the first year ranks themselves so that they've got study buddies. They've got somebody that they recognize from their home college that they're either going to see either in residence or in this building, and they'll start making friends. So they want to fit in, they want to fit in with new people, and they also want to meet upper year students who can give them those tips and tricks about the best courses and how to get the most out of those courses. We also want them to adjust to university life so that they're also fitting in with a positive element. We want them to start developing their personal skills. We want them to start developing their leadership skills, getting involved in activities that are actually going to develop those skills that employers are looking for. Again, you think about they are here primarily to get a degree, but it's things like presentation skills and time management skills, building confidence and esteem. That's the sort of stuff that they learn outside of the classroom. That's the things that they will learn by getting involved with the various workshops and seminars and information sessions that we offer through student life. It also gives them a chance to sort of explore different options. So we want to give them a positive influence. It's also a transition for you as parents, because suddenly you're no longer dealing with high school. You're dealing with the university, which is a huge institution. And U of T, 3 campuses, 78,000 students. We have 7,000 faculty and staff. So even though it seems huge and big, we actually make it manageable and smaller by dividing it into the college system. And your student is at one of the smaller colleges. We only have 2,000 students. Of those 2,000 students at Innis, 500 of them are first years. And of those 500, I think about 120 are international students. So a great opportunity to sort of connect at the local level. For those of you from Toronto, we're all familiar with our various neighborhoods. This is the Innis neighborhood. So we want to sort of, encourage your student to explore their neighborhood, because so often when you go to a new city or a new town, it's just a little overwhelming. So get them to connect locally here. How many of you tried to sort of tutor your student with like high school math? Tough. Tough. They're now in a subject areas where it's suddenly beyond our control as adults. We didn't learn those things, and so we want them to sort of reach out to those people who can help them, and that's the upper year students, the iStudy program that we offer. There's peer mentorship and things like that in the programs of study. So if you get a student calling you and saying, I'm having a hard time with calculus or any of my life science or commerce or whatever, have them reach out to somebody in one of the upper year iStudy groups. So anyway, it's changing, so we're here to help you help them with the transition. So first of all, student life. Where are we here? So who we are. So I work closely with Donald Bohr in the registrar's office. As I said, he and his team look after the academic side of things, so subject posts, majors, minors, switching courses, dealing with financial issues around OSAP, scholarships, bursaries, things like that, where I will, with me and my team, will work with the students, the student clubs, the student activities, student government. You met Ali, who is going to get coffee. He is in charge of all the dons and the residents, and in charge of the student programming that we offer for these students. So we're here to sort of help them with the get the best of their 4 years here. So these are some of the things we do. I already mentioned leadership, mentorship, community outreach, skills for success, things like time management and graduate workshops, the iStudy programs, life skills. So we have a couple of portfolios around health and wellness, arts and culture, athletics, safety and security, spirituality, diversity, offering various information sessions and experiential events that they can try things out and try different things. We want to provide opportunities so that they're challenged both academically as well as in non-academic areas. Trying to get them to explore who they are in the world around them. So on many levels, it's not just about marks or what you're actually learning in the classroom. We're trying to offer assistance as they start developing into adults. So our goal is to help your student develop into a healthy, responsible, adjusted adult as they head off into the world. Employers, of course, are looking for graduates, but they're also looking for those transferable skills, as I mentioned before, good communication skills, self-esteem, confidence. They want to know how your student has volunteered or participated in their community, whether it's here at the university or within the city of Toronto. These are all transferable personal skills that they learn in these types of programs and workshops that we offer. So learning, where does it happen? In the classroom, in the world, and in themselves. It's, I mean, you know, there's the obvious reason of why your student is here is to, you know, learn in the classroom to, you know, get their good GPA, get good marks, and get a degree. But they're also learning about the world around them. They're going to start testing the water with various values and behaviors and things like that. We want to give them a greater sense of their goals. How many of you have a student that already knows what they want to do when they graduate? And that's about right. Research shows that about only 20% of the students actually come into university having a clear sense of, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, or whatever. And even those students, that 20%, often change their mind when they get in here and start learning different things. And they may end up, you know, doing life sciences, and they may not get into medical school, and there are other opportunities and other options. And that's where they use this 4 years to explore those other options, the plan B and the plan C. If they don't get into medical school or law school or any of those things. Those are sort of the obvious too, but there's so many different opportunities. In fact, we just had a backpack to briefcase mentorship session with some of our upper years where we actually had people who graduated with degrees in life science that didn't get into medical school but are all highly successful with entrepreneurial skills. They've combined commerce with med-sci. They've combined like internet and online presence with life science skills. So it's interesting what they come up with in the various permutations of what they do with their degree. So you need to trust your student. You've already done a great job of raising them. You've already instilled in them good positive values. So you have to sort of believe in them and make sure that they have the self-confidence that they are comfortable in what you've provided them, to stand up for what they believe in and know that they have support back home. We're sort of a bit of a safety net here. As they start learning things, again, this is where they start falling down and scraping their knees all over again. And we're kind of here to sort of help that along so that it's not a punitive process, it's a learning process. As they you know, start making decisions, whether it's around, you know, their academic studies or, you know, the groups and the clubs that they're participating in, we're here to sort of help out if they fall and scrape their knees. So they want to make sure that they have that support back home as well, that they know that they're able to make the best decisions and that their decisions do have consequences. So you need to get to know your student on a different level as young adults, as they develop new interests and try new things. Of course, there's the whole career development process. We all want our students to, be successful in their career. It's not a straight linear method of developing a career. You learn it in these 4 different areas where they sort of try things out. They discover the different skills and values. They research different career opportunities and employers. Managing the work-life balance, which tends to be so elusive even for us. And also marketing themselves, not necessarily for today, but 4 years from now or 8 years from now for those that are going on to graduate school. And it just keeps changing and it just keeps evolving through that. So they will do it in the order that they need, the order that they want, and the order that things present themselves. But the best thing that you can encourage them to do is to try different things, because the different things that they try will expose them to different areas within those 4 spheres. So yes. So I've got 10 tips that I want to be able to provide you. That you can sort of, engage in a conversation with your student about some of these subjects, some of these topics. Obviously, do what you love and love what you do. How many of us love what we do? I sure do, but I've had jobs where I have not loved what I have done. And we're always, and that's one of the things that while they're here is that, you encourage them to love what they do. Try out the different subject areas, there's so many courses here, like over 400 different clubs and societies that we have on campus, as well as all the subjects that they can try out. So if they haven't started to let go yet, this is the time when they're making that transition. So conversations should start happening now about having that balance between home and university. Orientation, it's going to be a very busy time for them. So as you heard from the boys, it's academic orientation sessions in the morning, lots of clubs and student life activities in the afternoons and evenings. They've got so many activities lined up for them, but that's the time when they're going to make those connections. So you're going to start renegotiating conversations with them. When are you going to contact them? How are you going to contact them? Do you expect to hear from them every day? Once a week, at the end of orientation. Watch out around midterm when they start getting those midterm essays and midterm exams. There's going to be some anxiety somewhere around end of October, beginning of November, depending on the course, where they're ramped up and they're pulling the all-nighters and studying like crazy. So give them that berth and give them that support and just encourage them. Don't ask about the marks. Don't ask what mark they got. Ask them what they've learned. Ask them what new thing have they learned. Ask them about new friends and what activities they're involved in. Don't do everything for the student. Allow them to make the mistakes. Don't do the research. Obviously don't write their essays. I had one well-meaning mother, and yeah, that did not end well. So, encourage them, but they do have to sort of, do it on their own. So it's positive. So as they take risks with new subject areas and different levels of expectations, they start developing new perspectives as well as to how they look at the world. Here's a big one. Discuss your finances now. This is important. Again, a lot of students are on OSAP or some sort of scholarships, bursaries, things like that. Again, the registrar's office is great. We have emergency funds. If your student, for whatever reason, finds themselves in an emergency situation, they can certainly come to either me or the registrar's office, and we can put things in place that, will tide them over in an emergency. So that's there for them. Encourage them. Scholarships as well. There's lots of scholarships, and not necessarily for academic achievement, because again, there's kind of they're a small fish in a very big pond here. or a big fish in a small pond. They're coming from a big fish in a small pond to being a small fish in a very large pond. So the bar has been raised. So it's not necessarily scholarships awarded for academic achievement, but we also have scholarships awarded for leadership, for community outreach, for being involved in the community. So get them to participate, because there are awards for that. Budgeting. Make sure that they're responsible for their own budgets. Make sure that you establish some sort of a budget format for them. Visa card. Great idea to give them a Visa card. Watch the limit. Encourage them to pay it off at the end of the month, because we all know about the 19% interest. They don't. Right? Encourage them to keep track of their ROSI account, which is their student account. We don't send the bill to you, it goes to them. They're the ones that are responsible for that. They may pass it on to you, you may ask about it, but ultimately it's up to them to pay off their student fees and residence fees as they come in, because there is interest charges on that as well. Certainly not as steep as Visa or MasterCard, but there are penalties and interest charges on some of those things. Meals. We don't have a meal plan here at Innis because our residence is self-contained kitchens. So they actually go grocery shopping and make their own meals, but they do have to budget for that. How many of your students have done the grocery shopping for your family? Smart move, because they need to budget for that. And they need to sort of, you cannot just spend money on junk food and expect to, live well and be balanced. We want to make sure that they're getting that information about good diets and eating properly. There are meal plans available here at the university where you can use your student card, and parents can actually load up their student card with a certain amount of money called flex dollars on the student's card, $75, $200, $500, whatever, that enables them to swipe their card at any of the cafes or dining halls anywhere on campus. So smart move, especially for those students who are commuting. It's tough being a commuter because you've got your little lunch, but where do you keep it cold? How do you reheat it? There are ways around that. We have fridges and microwaves and things like that, both here in the student lounge as well as over at the residence. So there are options there, but inevitably they're going to be booting it back and forth between courses from the east side of the campus to the west side of the campus, north and south, and they need to grab something on the go. So that's a great way that you can help out as a parent, is to put some flex dollars on their T card. This may sound odd, but all of these buzzwords are on the website, and I'll be giving you a handout which has some of these websites and links where you can explore that option. So budgeting for meals, budgeting for, and encourage them to eat healthy and to eat well. There's of course all the fast food and sushi shops and things like that up on Bloor Street that cost money. And then you have the greasy food trucks on St. George that cater to the student diet. So we're trying to encourage them to reach beyond that and actually, have some half decent nutritious meals. Don't forget about computers, laptops, iPads, iPhones, electronic equipment that gets stolen. Another inside tip, put this on your home insurance policy. Most home insurance policy have some sort of a rider that covers those types of things off campus. So also encourage them to back up their data. So a little USB flash drive or some sort of an external hard drive. There's nothing worse than working on all those essays and doing all-nighters and then have your computer stolen or crash. And nothing's been backed up. So encourage them to back up their data, give them something that, that's a great going away to school gift, is a USB or a flash drive or some sort of external hard drive that can back up all their essays and assignments. And theft does happen, so make sure that they're covered and tell them to look after the things, never leave anything unattended. This is tough. For every 10 hours of lectures, you've got 20 to 30 hours worth of assignments, seminars, labs, reading material, homework. It's tough. They have to learn how to balance that. They sort of look at their schedule, and it's no longer that that full day at high school. You might only have 2 classes in a day, or you might have 3 classes in a day, but they've got to use that extra time to deal with the other work that they have to do. Employment, for those of students that are interested in working part-time, and there are lots of great part-time jobs on campus, we recommend no more than 10 hours of work a week, because they would start to get overwhelmed with anything more more than 10 hours. And I know a lot of students, they need to work, they have to work, they want to work, or they're currently holding part-time jobs both on campus and off campus. But anything more than 10 hours a week, something's got to give, and you don't want the academic or the social, the personal development. Again, so many of our commuter students, they get on campus, they go to class, they got a boot at home to get to their job, and then they've got their studies, and they're missing out on that other piece of the puzzle, which is the personal development through all the activities that they can get involved with here. They don't have to do them all, just pick one. Pick one, find something, and something that you enjoy, and join it, participate in it. Stress will start to raise its head. Of course, we've all seen our students under stress, and this is where it becomes really apparent, because it really is tough to maintain that GPA, and it's tough to sort of do all the things that are thrown at you and all the additional workload. You've got to be self-directed, you've got to be self-monitoring, you've got to have that self-discipline. You cannot procrastinate. So if there's one thing you can do is encourage them to just, do it sooner rather than later, because you do not want that to build up. This is where they might reach out to you and say, I'm under a lot of stress. They might not be sleeping properly. They might not be eating properly. They might be pulling all-nighters, and that's not healthy. So encourage them to talk to you about that, or encourage them to talk to us about that, and encourage them to, get some fitness, get some exercise. They have the athletic center over here, and the fitness room at the residence. Lots of opportunities to do. We offer stress reduction workshops. We offer yoga. There's meditation on campus, any number of things that can help them blow off steam in a good, healthy, positive way, and not the pubs up on Bloor Street, which are, good for certain things, but we encourage them to, engage in healthy, positive choices, right? So watch out for that. Set priorities and find a balance between what they feel urgent and things that are urgent. They need to be strategic in this area. So help them with that. Get them to find that balance so that they don't get stressed out. Get involved. This is what I've been talking about. There are so many things and so many ways that they can get involved, both here locally at the college, whether it's with the ICSS, the student council, at the residence, with the student life programs, or one of the various clubs or activities on the campus. Get involved at the athletic center or Heart House. As I said, over 400 different clubs and societies, from the Inner Tube Water Polo League that we have here in Innis, to the debating club or the chess club or any of those things. There's something for everything. Lots of associations and councils. Start with orientation, because we have Clubs Day, both local Innis clubs as well as the larger Central University clubs. All of them are going to be presented during orientation week, so encourage them to come to orientation week so that they can meet those people at those clubs. And it's just like a trade show. You just go from table to table and get the handout, and then you figure out what appeals to you as a student to participate. Orientation week is the week of September 3rd to the 7th. So classes start on the 10th, but we'll be sending out a lot of promotional information about orientation. And orientation is not just crazy fun stuff. There is a lot of crazy fun stuff going on, but it's a balance between academic orientation through workshops offered by the registrar's office. We have our writing center people there. We have people from various programs talking about giving them a mock lecture about behavior and etiquette in the classroom. Student life activities around meeting upper year mentors from their program of study and taking them on a tour of the campus, and showing them where the classrooms and the departments are for those subject areas that they're interested in, and a chance to sort of meet other students in that area. And then, of course, the fun stuff that the student council does. Something I've already started to tell you about is to read everything. The rules and regulations. These are things that they have to read about, and it's tough because they're going to get inundated with so much information. Syllabus from every courses, the course expectations on the academic side. They're going to get newsletters. They're going to get emails from their department, emails from arts and science, emails from the registrar, emails from the student life. They're going to get emails from the various groups and societies that they're involved with, and they need to read those things because those emails will have important information, especially the ones from anything from UToronto toronto.ca. So have them memorize and make sure that their email doesn't recognize it as junk or spam mail. So that's another important tip. Anything from studentlife.innis, registrar.innis, residence.innis are the three major ones that you're going to be getting these, or they're going to be getting these deadlines. So get them to read everything, read it thoroughly. It's the small print that catches us every time. Not that we bury things in the small print, it's just there's so much. It's just the volume of information that they have to read, and they need to go through that and be aware of that. And there are consequences to not paying attention to those deadlines. You can't write a note anymore. You no longer have to write a note. If they're absent, we don't care. We're not going to call you and find out where they are. It's up to them to attend. And in fact, here's another tip. Many of the classes actually have a 5% discretionary mark for showing up, signing in, being present, and participating. Not just showing up and being a warm body in a seat, but actually putting your hand up and participating in class. And that's a great way to get to know the prof or the TA and get that 5% mark. There are rules within the university. There's email, social media, I talked about that, various systems and registration and deadlines. They all have to be aware of that. Certain dates that certain payments have to be made, otherwise you incur a 1.5% interest on your ROSI account, which I talked about. Deadlines for handing in your assignments. They are date stamped. Marks do come off, and you cannot negotiate that. But that's all part of the learning process. So get them to read everything. And if they have a problem understanding it, that's where we come in. Come by, visit us. In fact, our hours, the registrar's office, I believe, is like 10 until 6 most days, because no students get out of bed before 10 o'clock. So we tend to have later hours. And certainly Student Life, our office and our operation is actually housed in the lobby of the residence. Again, it's not just for residents, it's for all of Innis students. And Ali and his team are there right through until 11 o'clock midnight. So even as a commuter student, if you want to ask a question and registrar's office is closed, you can certainly come to us and there will be somebody there to provide you with some questions or a resource. Even as an emergency, again, another tip here, Ali and his staff are trained to deal with emergencies, whether it's a physical emergency or a student feels unsafe on campus or has some mental issues or has academic concerns. They're there as counselors to to provide some resources or just somebody to talk to. Sometimes the students don't feel comfortable dumping it on their parents or calling you and concerning you. So it's important that they reach out to us because we're there, as I said, as a bit of a safety net to have them talk to us. If they feel awkward around talking to you or don't want to bother you with something that might be minor, then have them talk to us. And we're there until 11 p.m. And we also have emergency dons on call throughout the evening. If they find themselves stuck downtown, we're there. So encourage them to reach out to us. Expectations of the school. Again, we were talking about unrealistic expectations. Where they are part of the brightest and the best, they are sort of, small fish in a very big pond. Marks may drop and not to be alarmed. Again, they've worked very hard to get to where they are. They are the brightest and the best to actually get accepted into the University of Toronto and Innis College. So don't be alarmed if those marks suddenly drop a little bit because that's quite natural. Again, the bar's been raised, they need to adapt. Different ways of learning, different expectations for the student. So don't be alarmed, and of course they don't want to alarm you. If they start getting into some serious academic stuff, tell them to speak up. Tell them to make an appointment to come see the registrar's office because that's what they're there for. Whether it's additional help or maybe even it's just a change of course, that's what they're there for to help your student succeed academically. Sometimes it's just other things get in the way, poor time management skills, or they just need some help with their writing their essays. We actually have resources for that as well, and to reach out to either the registrar's office or the Student Life team, and we'll be able to provide them with those resources. But don't be quiet about it. Come talk to us because we've got the resources for that. Probably a lot of you have heard about the large classes. How many of you have students going through life sciences and have to do Bio 150? Bio 150 is sort of the standard for anything, and of course it's a huge class. Yes, you're in a group with a large number of people, but the upside is you're also getting some of the best profs in the world teaching that course. So yes, we've got the large class size in many cases, but then those are broken down into smaller sections, tutorials or labs of 25 to 30. So you may hear about sort of, U of T with their large classes, but they are broken down into smaller groups. And of course, anybody doing languages? Anybody doing the languages or humanities? Yes, they may be in a large class of 60, 70 people doing sort of French or Italian or whatever, but then they're broken down into smaller conversation classes of 20 to 30, depending on the course. So it's manageable. So again, if they read the rules, read the fine print, read everything that comes their way, and if they don't understand, ask, because they don't want to sort of run afoul of that. I'm down to number 4, home sweet home. You'll never have to look at this ever again. Right? So we have both residential and commuter students on campus, and we treat them as adults when they arrive here. So even in residence, regardless of the residence that they're at, we tend to group the noisy ones and the messy ones together, and we'll group the quiet ones and the studious ones together. We don't group them by course of study, because we sort of ask them about their personal preferences and assign them suites and suite mates. We do put our first years in with upper years so that they get that automatic mentorship. By getting to know upper year students within their suite. So meals, they're going to have to cook on their own if they're residents, and commuters will have to sort of bring their own. Commuters often have like a 2-hour trip, so that's the best time to do reading. So get them an iReader or a laptop or whatever that they can do the homework while doing that trek. IT and information, an email. Again, we talked about that, getting their T card, get that activated, getting their emails organized. Actually, another tip that if they still prefer using Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo, you can actually forward the U Toronto email address to the personal one. They just have to go into the settings and change that. Officially, we can only correspond with their U Toronto address. Once they've been accepted at the university and have their T card, we'll only be sending things to U Toronto. So if they're not checking the U Toronto email account, at least have them forward it to their personal one. Otherwise, they're going to be missing out on some pretty important information. Housekeeping, laundry. You'll be amazed at how many students come home with their laundry on the Thanksgiving long weekend. So just a heads up, moms, they'll come home with even the ones that live in residence. Laundry is $2 a wash, $2 a dry at the residence. So it's pretty inexpensive, but they do have to do it themselves. Please visit, not too often. Support them, but don't carry them. Let them find out the answers and tell you. So if you have a question, get them to find out the answer to that question and get back to you with it. Be interested, but not intrusive. So as I said before, don't ask about marks and don't grill them on marks. Ask them what new things have they discovered? What new things have you learned in that class? What new friends? Tell us about your friends. Don't judge their friends, but just ask what new people that they've met and what activities that they're involved in that might be of interest. Start developing that enthusiasm, because again, they're enthusiastic about joining these things, so be enthusiastic with them. Even if the inner tube water polo team is not exactly what you had in mind, maybe they're getting something really great out of that, new friends, and at least they're working out. Share their enthusiasm, be involved in their decisions. They're going to come to you for advice. You're mom and dad, you're their family, so they're going to go to you first for advice. So don't make the decision for them. That's, what you want to do is have that conversation and get them to make the decision. And don't call or email constantly. Give them that little bit of room to move and grow. Ask them how often they want you to call. Don't you establish it, get them to establish what that time frame is. Quick quiz for all of you. This regards the Freedom of Information Protection of Privacy Act. So I expect I will hear from the university if my student has, hands up, changed their degree programs, if they've changed their course of study, do you think the university will contact you? Or failed a course? How about winning a scholarship or an award? No? If they didn't pay their fees, I already told you that answer. There you get one. Violated a university policy if they cheated or plagiarized. Vandalism. Anything like that? What if they were elected to one of our student government or student council? Has a medical or psychological emergency? Withdraws from the university? Moves out of the residence? All of the above? None of the above. It's actually none of the above. None of the above. Now, I know there's some concern around the whole medical and psychological emergency. Depending on the emergency, really, if it's a life or death thing, we will reach out. We will contact the necessary people. We will get immediate care for those, for anybody, regardless of whether they're in residence or they're a commuter or they're in class or not in class. We will do the right thing. However, we're not allowed to disclose information if it comes our way. One of the things you might want to sort of have a conversation with your student is to put you down as next of kin or emergency contact, and not every student does that. Some students will list a brother or a sister or an aunt or an uncle, or for those people that don't have parents living in town, they'll do another family member or a friend of the family. We will have that information if they provide it to us. And we will contact you if there is imminent life or death situation. But on the whole, we do protect the students' privacy. We do treat them as adults, and the university and the law of Ontario requires us to do so. But that's not to say not to reach out to us. I'm quite happy to talk to you at any time. You can always contact me. My contact information is there, so that if you're feeling uneasy or if you're getting a sense that your student might be going through something, reach out to me, and I'll be happy to sort of work with my team or with Ali, and we'll investigate, and we'll sort of, we'll advise you to the best of our ability without disclosing or without breaching that student's privacy. It really all boils down to communication. Learning to communicate with your new student, learning to communicate about some of the new things that they're going through, where you start making the decisions together, respecting their newfound freedom. Start having healthy discussions, start engaging in critical thinking, start thinking the problem through, but it's up to them to sort of make that decision with your help. We have highly involved parents. We've all heard about helicopter parenting. There's a great little article here about helicopter parenting. It's okay to be a helicopter parent because you too are learning to adjust with letting that student go and finding their way. So all I can do is, and I hope I'm doing this, is reassuring you that we're there to help. We're there to help you, and we're there to help them. You know, it's a big university with a lot of students, but hopefully by being in a local community, in a local neighborhood like Innis, we're here to help out. So encourage them to find the answer for themselves that will prepare them for the rest of their life. One of the sheets that I'm handing out actually has a little questionnaire on the back, similar to what I just asked you about the FIPPA thing. There are other things there. No right or wrong answers, but you know what? There's some great topics there that you can actually pull this sheet out and say, hey, let's have a talk about, let's go through this quiz together. Let's answer this together. How often do you want me to call? How often are you coming home to visit? You know, finances and things that they're getting involved with, their courses and their classes. All right, be patient, allow for adjustment, especially in the early stages. The first term is such a huge adjustment for both them and you. So, you know, give them some time, give them some space.